how do you still stay calm during the interview?
If
How people should practice? Should they practice in front of the mirror?
ideally with other people. So sometimes you can find other people who are looking for jobs and you can test each other. If your parents, your family are willing to practice with you, mock interviews are good, mirror is good, but I think what's important is to set your mindset for the interview that it's not a court. It's not a place where you get judged. It's a dialogue you have with the other person. And maybe to remember that they're not interested in making you feel bad. They're interested in understanding whether you are the right person for the job, right? The hiring manager usually is a busy person. They want to outsource some of the tasks to someone they can rely on. And they're trying to understand if you're the right person for the job. So it's okay to have a dialogue. It's okay to answer questions and also ask questions.
Is it good to finish talking with a phrase, and this is why I am good for this job? Or it might be annoying.
It's absolutely good to say, and this is why I'm the right fit for this position, yes. Or you can also say, this is what I bring to the table. It's absolutely good to highlight your strengths as a kind of to summarize your answer, to summarize the interview.
What would be appropriate to ask during the interview? What kind of questions?
I usually recommend to kind of think about the interview as if this is your first day on the job. So imagine you already got the job. Doesn't mean you should relax and act like you're the big boss, but it kind of puts you in an interesting mindset where you're kind of ready to, roll up your sleeves and, like first day on the job, right? So imagine the person in front of you is already your boss, for instance, right? And you want to know what kind of things you would need to do. So, what do you expect me to do in this role? What is important to do to be successful in this role, right? What do you expect me to be good at a month from now? For instance, how can I help you the most, right? And also just questions about the company. If you didn't learn enough from reading about the company, you can ask questions about the mission, the vision for the next few years, the structure of the company, the structure of your specific team, how big will be the team I'll be working on. Is it just me? Are there other people? In what roles? What will be my interactions with them? These type of questions.
Do you have any other tips for the interview in general?
Be genuine, I think, be authentic, but also don't be shy to kind of demonstrate your strengths, what you're good at.
What about body language at the interview?
I don't usually think too much about it. I think when you have the right mindset, when you're relaxed, more or less, when you're having a dialogue, it's okay to lean back a little bit. Like usually when we lean forward, stresses the other person a little bit. We're too much in their face. But if usually when we're engaged but somewhat relaxed, we can kind of lean back a little bit. Some people might tell you the opposite, that it's important to sit very straight or it's important to lean forward. I don't know. My personal thing is to be a little bit more relaxed and, lean back.
How about looking in the person's eyes? Is this annoying or this is
I'm hesitant to give
plus or minus? Yeah.
I'm hesitant to give this type of advice because there are people with neurodiversity who have a hard time looking directly in the eyes, for instance. I think it's, if you can, fine. If you can't, that's okay too. Just do your best. It's
very genuine usually,
Yes, again, I think there is an assumption that it's only genuine people looking in the eyes. There are people with neurodiversity, right? You know what that means. Like not everybody can directly look people in the eyes. They're still very genuine. By the way, your hiring manager might be one of those people.
Right.
They might not enjoy looking you directly in the eyes.
So I think it's important to pick up the clues from looking at the person and mirror them. I mean, mirroring helps, right?
You can mirror them or you can be yourself, but definitely don't try to, catch their eyes if they're, not looking directly at you. Also with, Zoom meetings, sometimes people just have the window to the side of the camera, so they will not be looking at you, even though they're looking at you. It looks like they're not looking at you, so that happens.
People are shy. How can they overcome this? Is it with experience they will lose it? Is that just experience going to more and more interviews, or what can help to be less shy?
Let's make it a little bit easier on teenagers. Usually hiring managers know that teenagers are shy, especially good ones. So that they will not judge you because you're a little bit shy. So don't stress too much about being shy, but yes, with experience and mock interviews, again, practicing interviews with other people. I think having answers to most common questions ready will give you some confidence, so you don't have to freeze because you don't know the answer. So that's another thing we can talk about. Usually when people prepare for interview, it's important to have a few good stories which answer to most common questions. It's called story banking. So you have like a bank of your different stories, like how you handle difficult situation, what do you like to work on the most, how do you work in a team, things like that. Just like you can find those common questions. So you should prepare those stories. Ideally, you should write them out if you have the patience. I don't know if it's too much to ask for. If you don't, talk them through with your friends. So that's your story bank. You have a few stories. However, during an actual interview, somebody might ask you a question that's not exactly what you prepared for. Try to see if you can take one of your ready stories and adjust it a little bit on the fly. So this way you don't have to think of something completely new. See if there's something similar, but try to adjust it to answer the question as directly as possible.
Yeah, this is a great advice actually with the stories. Yeah, could it be personal stories as well, like not related to the job? Like, for example, if there is a question about difficult situation, can a person talk about difficulties at home or something like that?
So usually volunteering stories work well, right? School stories, for instance, often there is a question about leadership, like give us an example of a time when you demonstrated leadership. I mean, clearly it doesn't mean you have to have a managerial job somewhere. Anybody can be a leader, right? Or from time to time demonstrate their leadership skills. It can be something where you saw a difficult situation and you took the initiative to solve it, right? It doesn't have to be in a work environment. It can be on the street somewhere, it can be in school.
Wonderful. Yeah, so lots of stories to prepare, or how many? 3, 4 would be probably enough.
I'll be honest, I don't know what are the most common questions asked for internships specifically. For college students and college graduates and for full-time workers, there are a lot of stories you have to prepare. Probably closer to 20, I would think. For high school interns, maybe between 5 and 10, I'm thinking.
They don't have that much experience.
Yeah, it's not, so interview questions are not always about experience. Actually, at biggest companies like FANG companies, right? Facebook, Google, etc. For some jobs, for most jobs, I think actually, the interview questions are hypothetical situations because they want to learn how you think and how you solve problems, even if you didn't have that exact experience. So it's also important to prepare for those questions to demonstrate that you know how to solve problems in a structured way.